Hi everyone, I'm Dave and welcome to the very first episode of MOT Juice's AEDM update/training, designed specifically for AEs and AEDMs, whether you run one site, multiple site business, regional sites or have national coverage. We'll bring you all the key updates from the DVSA and the MOT industry, recap what your testers and site managers have been learning to keep your sites compliant, and how you can stay one step ahead of the DVSA and the dreaded VE. Our quarterly update is available on video, podcast and good old-fashioned written material, so you can choose what best suits your lifestyle. This MOT Manager update will include why the DVSA want annual training and exams for AEDMs, the special notice on Citroen's stop drive recall, changes that have happened within the DVSA site audit, what the VEs are focusing on when they visit your workshop, and the current photo trial that is happening for MOTs. So obvious question first, why are we doing this and why should you listen? Well, since 2022, the DVSA have been considering how they can ensure that AEDMs and MOT managers can stay current with the testing scheme. Because for most of you, the training qualifications to become an AEDM is a distant memory. The DVSA understands that to keep the MOT industry compliant and to be able to evolve quickly, the owners and managers of the MOT businesses will need current knowledge. Whilst we have gotten used to the sight of MOT testers completing annual training and exams, we need to get used to the idea that MOT owners will need to do the same thing. There's currently a survey to see if AEDMs should do formal training and annual exams just like testers, as they need to ensure that MOT managers have a mechanism to stay current. To be honest, I'm surprised that the DVSA haven't enforced this already, and it's only a matter of time until it's been put into play. The industry chatter at the moment suggests that the DVSA will announce formal compulsory training and exams for all AEDMs at some point in 2026. So MOT Juice is leading the way ahead of DVSA rules so that our clients are informed and can demonstrate that they know their stuff to the DVSA. So let's reflect for a moment and imagine that you're not in full control of one or more of your MOT testing stations, and that other commitments have meant that MOTs have taken a bit of a backseat, so perhaps not all the necessary procedures are in place. The DVSA can see all the data from every test that happens on your site, who's done them, the pass and failure rates, how long it takes to do the test, the times in between the test, what parts failed, absolutely everything. And they can digitally compare your performance with the known national and brand averages. And all that without a VE having to visit your site to identify poor standards. From the DVSA's perspective, why try and police 85,000 MOT testers when they can just police their employers? The DVSA have been quietly bolstering the burden of responsibility to the AEDM in all their special notices that have been coming out over the last couple of years, if you've paid close attention. A lot of these notices have been about disciplinary actions, closing loopholes in the testing guide, and putting more of an onus on the testing station management. The testers have noticed it because it's been showing up in their annual exam questions, but guess what? It's coming your way. The DVSA are trying to make it crystal clear that as an AEDM, you are accountable, you are responsible, and you need to prove that you're in control. We have to accept there's going to be some training for you guys, but rest assured, MOT Juice will try and make it as bearable as possible. Right, let's have a look at some of these special notices. The latest one that's come out this year is Special Notice 0325, which is about the airbags on a Citroen and DS vehicle. The DVSA, alongside the government, have brought out the first ever stop drive recall, which not only makes it a mandatory requirement for MOT testing stations to check the vehicle to see if it's affected by the recall and make an advisory on the paperwork, it means the vehicle can't legally be driven on the road until it's fixed, which is a big issue for your testers and your customers. The stop drive recall is unique because it's never happened in the UK before, despite the amount of serious safety recalls that manufacturers have released. No one can legally drive the vehicle on the road, and that's a first. This may become the norm in the future, so you need to have a plan in place if it does. We have attached the special notice in the resource, but here's a couple of actions that you might want to consider taking. Ask your site managers and MOT testers if they have read and understood the special notice. And I mean really understood it, because if the vehicle leaves without you formally checking it or formally instructing the customer, then the DVSA will take disciplinary action against you and your testers. Also, ask your testers to explain how manual advisories are added to the paperwork and what they're supposed to write down. The text added to the MOT results by a manual advisory should be: this vehicle has an outstanding recall. Contact Citroen for information and to arrange a free repair. The vehicles affected are certain Citroens manufactured between 2009 and 2016, and certain DS vehicles manufactured between 2010 and 2018. There is a full list of which models are affected on the special notice, but this first stop drive recall affects 120,000 vehicles, and it's a great topic to have a chat with your MOT testers so they can understand that you're not completely detached from the MOT process. The reality is, MOT testers can acknowledge the special notice without actually reading it, but rest assured your testers have been reminded when they do their MOT Juice monthly CPD. Another thing that is new is an update to the off-site site review. As you may have seen, the site audit and review has changed. It was posted on the Matters of Testing blogs, the official publication from the DVSA, which the DVSA think you really enjoy and read all the time. You won't necessarily have a VE coming onto your site, speaking to your whole team, learning how you operate and checking everything from top to bottom. Now the site audits will only happen every 2 to 3 years, and when they do, VEs will just spend all their time in the workshop speaking to testers and checking testing practices. All the site checks, the calibration, the filing, the equipment check, signage, forms, all that office side will all be done by a self-assessment form now. First off, the form gets sent by email to the AE, so double check what email address the DVSA has on file for you to ensure that it's current. You don't want that email going to someone that's left the business, or to a head office, or to a PA that's just going to ignore it or delete it. The AE's details are listed on the AE page of the MTS, so go and have a check. The email contains a link to a digital form for your self-assessment. There's a lot of information that needs to be filled out on there, but the good news is, if your site is using MOT Juice properly, you pretty much have everything to hand. We spoke to an AEDM from a main dealer who had one recently, and with MOT Juice it only took about 20 minutes to fill out, and the score for the audit went straight to the site's MTS account. Now you might be thinking, that's a result, I won't have to deal with the DVSA much anymore. But this is just for the site audit. If the DVSA spot any issues or major changes in your testing practices, they'll drop in or give you a call to ask what's going on, so don't think that you'll never see the VE again. But the good news is, if you do get a self-assessment form, it probably means you're doing something right. But with the self-assessment form, there's a few issues. First of all, out of sight, out of mind. Without the risk of a VE dropping in, sites let compliance slip. First it's the small things, then it's the bigger things, and before you know it, it becomes habit. When the VE finally does turn up, the problems pile up and the fallout tends to be quite serious. Also, the self-assessment form itself. When people see it for the first time, they're often shocked how detailed it is. Especially for the first one, you don't really know what to write either. But here's the kicker. If you fill it out incorrectly, or worse, outright lie on it, you can get 500 disciplinary points, which is some sort of cessation. Also, the DVSA will judge you purely on what you enter onto the form, not what a local VE knows about you. There's no room for common sense on a form designed to be very, very black and white. And if the DVSA spot anything odd or concerning, you'll get a phone call and asked to explain. If they're not satisfied, you'll expect a full audit with multiple VEs, and if they find anything, you could end up with disciplinary points or even cessation. So here's some general bits of good advice and actions that you can take now. A quick look at your site's monthly audits through Juice will show you whether they're being done properly. If there's lots of details in there and the monthly audit score goes up and down, it's a good indicator that it is being done properly. If the monthly site audit has no issues and always has a perfect score, that is a bit of a red flag for me, because no one is perfect. It might look good on your site's monthly report, but there will be issues and the VE will find them if your team don't. Maybe a couple of questions to your team like, how long do we have to keep copies of emissions records for? Or what's our QC process? Or how long does it take to do the MOT Juice's monthly site audit? You'll find out pretty quick if your team are playing the game or not by the answers that they give you. And finally, take action on anything that you find that could cause an issue when you do your self-assessment. The MOT tester that missed a few quality control checks, that roller brake tester that's been on the blink, that uncalibrated tread depth gauge can cause big issues when the DVSA come knocking. Use your MOT Juice message center to directly communicate with your team and prove to the DVSA that you've taken action. We know from experience the VEs migrate from topic to topic, so it's always great to know what the VEs are focusing upon and ensure that your site are not weak in these areas. Recent feedback shows that VEs are now asking testers for their user manuals on all their equipment when they visit a site, to prove that they know how the equipment works and if they're being used correctly. It's actually a mandatory requirement for equipment manuals to be readily available. These can be either paper or digital copies, but they must be accessible if the VE asks. MOT Juice stores digital copies for all your equipment for your site, and we have a massive database of equipment manuals within our equipment manual library that can be accessed by either the corporate website or via the MOT Juice back office. It's definitely worth checking to see if yours have been uploaded, and we can help you find them or upload them if needed. Just as importantly, make sure that all of your team know where to find them, because odds are the VE will ask your newest tester, and if they don't know, they could end up being marked down or facing disciplinary points for something as simple as not having the manual or knowing where they are. With MOT Juice, we don't just store your equipment information, we can make it instantly accessible. Our system lets you generate an individual QR code for each piece of your equipment, which can be printed off and attached directly to your equipment. When scanned with a smartphone or a tablet, the QR code pulls up everything that the VE might want to see: calibration certificates, users manuals, install dates, key details like that, all just in one place instantly. VEs love this feature because it shows that you're proactive, organised and on top of your compliance. It also saves your team valuable time by removing the need to dig through filing cabinets or stacks of paperwork just to find them. If you haven't already set this up, it's well worth doing. It's one of those simple steps that makes the audit smoother and keeps your site compliant. We have a little video on how to set it up, so you can check it out if you want, and it's going to be in the resource bit. Since April 2025, the DVSA have been trialling a system where testers must take a photo of the vehicle on an MOT ramp before starting either a full test or a retest, and it's designed to stamp out ghost MOTs. So ghost MOTs are where MOTs are recorded as completed even though the vehicle has never actually visited the VTS it was tested at. Instead, people just send over money and vehicle details to the tester, who then records a pass without ever seeing the vehicle. By the way, the DVSA are getting the right ump with this, and if they catch one of your testers doing it, they'll throw the book at both of you. The trial began with around 65 sites and 140 testers, completing around 500 tests per week. That part was a success, so the trial was extended to around 200 sites and 500 testers, again with good results. During the trial period, each image was visually inspected by a DVSA staff member, but in future, that review will probably move over to AI. So this is likely to become an official part of the MOT testing scheme soon. I'd expect it to be rolled out fully in about 2026 and become a part of next year's training curriculum, but that isn't confirmed at this stage. So what does the photo trial involve exactly? Here's a few common questions that have come up and feedback that we've had from the people that are trialing the system. So, what do the testers need to do? Testers must take a photo of the vehicle on the MOT ramp before starting any full or retest. Can you charge any more money for this? And can you increase the MOT testing fee? Quite frankly, no. It's more work, but you don't get any more money for it. Does it add much time to the test? Not really. It probably only adds about a minute each test or retest. Can you use a computer or digital camera to take the photo? No, you must use a smart device with a camera, so a smartphone or a tablet. The photos are not stored on the device, so there's no issues with personal data breaches or storage space because it's directly uploaded via a web link. However, some testers may push back because they're saying they don't want to use their personal phone, so you may need to invest into a company smartphone or tablet if this becomes an issue. So what are the testers saying about it? Pretty much as you'd expect, really. Testers usually moan whenever something new comes in, and they'll complain before they use it, moan for a couple of days while they're using it, and then stop because they figured out quite quickly that it's quick and easy and there's nothing to moan about. As I say, it's just a trial at the moment, but it is getting bigger. You can still request to be included into the trial if you want. If you're accepted, you get more information about what's involved, or you can get in touch with us at MOT Juice and we can try and give you some more information. It's just a trial, so if you do get on the trial, you won't get into any serious trouble if you make any mistakes, but you might get a phone call from the trial team if they feel you're not using it properly. Well, I think that's it for this time. So to wrap up, the DVSA are moving towards mandatory AEDM training and exams. Site audits now include a self-assessment form. If you're seeing a VE inside your office, you're probably doing something wrong. Equipment manuals and compliance records are underneath the spotlight, so make sure that yours are in place. And photo evidence of vehicles being on site during an MOT are very likely to become a permanent thing, so get ready. If you take one thing away from this episode, this is it. The DVSA are making it clear that AEs and AEDMs are accountable. If you're not in control, you're at risk. But with MOT Juice in place, you'll stay compliant. Thanks for joining me for this first AEDM update and training. If you want more details, check out our resource links in the episode, and don't forget, our Site Manager CPD is available if you want monthly in-depth knowledge to keep you ahead of the game. Most importantly, let us know what you'd like us to cover in the next episode. This podcast is for you, so your feedback will shape where we go next. Our next podcast will come out in 2026, but until then, remember, we're testers, you're testers. Let's stick together.